Welcome, fellow conspiracy theorists, to the podcast that'll make you look twice at all you've been told. This is the Chicken's Eye Podcast, where the truth about every conspiracy theory comes to light. On today's episode, we'll be diving into the coldest part of the Earth. You've all heard of the 7 continents: Asia, Africa, North America, and South America, Europe, Australia, and Antarctica? Or is it? Today we'll be discussing the ice wall theory.
Now, you might be asking yourself, what exactly is the ice wall other than something that surrounds Antarctica? Well, the ice wall is 150 feet tall, with several hundred meters thick. It's a nearly vertical ice front to the open sea, towering more than 50 meters high above the water surface. The ice wall serves as a container for the flat Earth's water, so the ocean. The ice wall circles around the Earth, serving as a bowl, with the water inside the water takes the shape of the ice wall.
Now, while some people say that can't be true, I've taken a cruise to Antarctica before. Think about it. Did you really go to Antarctica? No cruises actually touched down on it. There's even a treaty that forbids people from going there. The Antarctica, everywhere we go, we just stop right at the coast of Antarctica. And what's the coast of Antarctica? That's right, the ice wall.
Do you really truly believe that the ice wall is really fake, really real? Because it's honestly fake. Because how would it be able to sustain? The ice wall needs to be formed on a mainland so it can actually be able to move. But an ice wall is just a giant wall around the Earth. How would that be sustainable? There's no mainland to form and to help it stay
shape. It touches the crust of the Earth. It goes from the crust all the way up high, just made of purely of ice, all around the world. And NASA makes sure it doesn't melt.
Wouldn't it be melting?
No, because of NASA.
What is NASA doing?
NASA pays people to superfrost the ice wall, guys. Come on.
NASA are paying people to superfrost the ice wall. Wouldn't someone notice boats and cruises going by? There are satellite images.
That's why people take cruises that pass by them. They're passing them off as cruises, but really it's NASA expeditions.
What do you say to the scientists on Antarctica?
I say to scientists on Antarctica that they're all government spies trying to keep us in line, right? If you really think about it, my glorious king, Sir James Clark Ross, some British naval officer, right? He saw the ice wall himself. He saw the ice wall and he said it was an obstruction of such character that leaves no doubt in my mind of the future proceedings, or he might as well said through cliffs, right? He knows that behind the ice wall is the actual hollow earth that's right under our flat.
So you're saying that all these people in Antarctica, all these scientists who work there, all paid off? These scientists from thousands of nations are all just spies working together? When you think something would leak out, someone would say something?
Think about it. Why would you even be there originally if it wasn't for money? Even the Antarctica you guys think of is a cold place that's desolate and has pretty much no life. Why would you be there except for money? They're paid anyways. They might as well be paid to be government spies that keep us in line.
What about research?
Yeah, there are thousands of animals, bacteria. There's so much thing to study in Antarctica.
I don't know. We got proof of that. Have you ever seen that?
Have you ever seen anything? Have you seen your proof?
I haven't seen anything in Antarctica, therefore it's not real.
What about the various content creators who go to Antarctica?
Bro, that's a lot.
Clickbait, clearly. Since we haven't trusted Mr. Beast since the 2024 drama, bro. Get up the times.
You went to Antarctica before.
Nuh-uh. Have you ever gone on a flight? They always dodge Antarctica. No flight path passes straight over Antarctica. That's because they don't want you to see what's over the wall.
But they don't go over Antarctica because of the weather conditions. It damages the ship and can put the lives of the passengers in threat.
They don't go around the North Pole. They go through Canada all the time. People live in the North Pole too.
But Antarctica is the coldest place on Earth. Canada, it's
the coldest place because it's an ice wall. It's all ice. There's no Canadians to warm it.
The reason it is cold is because it's the ice country.
Ice country or ice wall? I don't know. It seems above sea level to me, so that would make it a wall.
Mr. Beast's video, where he survived 50 hours in Antarctica, was done on the December 24th, 2022. 229.3 million views. How are you gonna tell?
Because the allegations that came out against Mr. Beast and him faking his videos in 2024 applied to videos made before 2024. If you listen to Dogpack's video essay, you see that he actually has done multiple fakings of videos before and scripts all his challenges, and everything Mr. Beast does is fake.
Then where did he go?
Canada.
Canada doesn't get that cold.
Yeah.
Even if you go up towards north in Canada, that would have trees.
Nuh-uh. He
went
just
with
went somewhere full of ice, like Alaska. Like, as I was saying, right? Past the ice wall is the hollow earth. An amazing theory developed by Leon Euler in the 18th century. This Swiss mathematician and physicist, he was a mathematician and physicist. That means he did math and physics.
Yeah, we know.
Who believed in the entirely hollow earth, right? He believed that the sun was the center of the earth and allowed for perfect life forms to exist,
Hey,
right?
I have a question.
The government doesn't want us to know about them. That's why they hide things like the UFOs in Area 51.
But look, I have a question. If the Earth is hollow, how come no one else have digged straight to it before?
Propaganda.
How is propaganda gonna stop it, bro? We have evidence, videos. Why
You
have
can't dig that deep into the earth. The deepest hole ever dug stopped because it got too hot to dig deeper. If the earth was hollow under there, we have no way to prove it. Especially if the government dug down. The government can dig down and they cannot tell any of us. But how are you going to prove it? How can you dig to the center of the
If
earth?
it's too hot, then how can the government dig down, but not us?
Because they're lying to us about it being too hot. But like, we
If
don't
it's not too, if they're lying, then
we don't have the equipment. We still don't have the equipment. Yeah, go get your shovel in the backyard and dig all the
Yeah, I will.
Bro.
How deep would you have to go to get into the center of the earth? And
Probably
with that being
pretty deep.
said, how could you fit a sun in there if even after,
Yeah, wouldn't
12 kilometers?
wouldn't like the gravity of the sun just crush the Earth and consume it? Like,
No.
Wouldn't the
It
sun
states.
burn
Listen.
the
yeah.
The hollow earth, right, is like around the sun, but like the sun is like that sun is still there, and it's like taking the power of our sun, which is like the center of the universe.
What?
Would we like overheat and die
Nuh-uh. We don't overheat and die right now.
But why not?
because there's no sun in the middle of the earth?
Yeah,
Why would it get super hot when you start going down then?
because of the
Earth's
gravity. Pressure is pulling closer and closer, and the pressure creates heat.
That's not how that works.
Also-
Yes, it is.
That's not how
Why are we trusting, a 18th century mathematician?
we trust Isaac Newton about gravity.
Yeah, because
He's
people
pretty
proved
old.
it. There's
But
evidence to show.
There's a
it.
difference between like evidence.
Is
Like
there
Isaac
though?
Newton had his thing, and he was like, okay, this is what it is, and then we kept
And
testing that.
Leonhard Euler had his thing, and he's like, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been proved wrong with modern satellites. We're
How's it
talking
though?
to a guy who, just discovered a telescope like 2 weeks ago.
You're talking about satellite imaging the inside of the Earth. Hollow Earth is full of like these perfect life forms that they don't want us to reach through the ice wall, right? The ice wall is actually like there's an outside Earth that's weird inside, and it's all hollow, and there's perfect life forms that absorb the true sun,
Are you saying?
right? And there's aliens.
Are you saying that like a government whistleblower wrote Narnia?
Yes,
It's like a similar thing.
maybe it was. How would we know? There's also the Antarctica Treaty, which I mentioned earlier. Isn't it a little suspicious that right after World War II, when technology was starting to pick up, right, and they probably could go there, that they're like, okay, nobody can go there. Marks off territory for military purposes too, because they know whoever controls the ice wall will be the most powerful nation there is.
But they just didn't want water there because there's nothing there to really own except for research. There's
Then
no
why would they ban
oil
owning
or
it?
natural resources.
They would have been owning it.
They said it was for everybody. It was for the natural good of all of humanity that everybody owns Antarctica, technically.
But why though? Like if there's nothing there, if it's such a useless place, why would they keep it in the hands of everyone?
So they can do research.
When have you ever used Antarctica research in your life?
I don't know.
Exactly.
For-
Yeah.
For climate change,
Yeah.
researching the melting of the ice,
Yeah, what about global warming?
the Antarctica and how
If
to
someone,
save it.
we check other polar caps too. Not only that, we could also check if someone owned it. Like there's nothing stopping us from checking if the sea levels are rising, which is what happens when they melt. Even if someone owned it, like there's nothing against owning it and still checking for climate change. There are multiple other ways except for just Antarctica's melting that we check for it.
If someone's owns it, then they would only allow their people, their resources, their stuff. But having everybody own it, will have different opinions, different sites, different. It gives
Okay,
more
but
variety.
we can own multiple other places. There's full of places that have millions of things that would do well for the common goal.
I
for
just
the common
googled it.
good.
Okay, the Antarctica Treaty was created in 1959. to
Right after World War
address
II, as I said.
geopolitical tensions around the southern continent and to promote peaceful scientific investigation and conservation. This is all for peace.
Yeah,
You're trusting what the government's telling you?
Look, it's the same reason why the moon is everybody's property, for peace. So we don't have arguments and debates about something that we don't really understand.
No, because the moon isn't real.
It's basically the same reason that why we have like a national forest. It's so we can
Yeah.
like, see it.
But the
conserve
national
it.
forest is still owned by the country. But like, it's not. It's the national forests are still owned by people. Antarctica isn't, because they know whoever controls the ice wall controls the Earth, and everything they put online talking about it and anything else is just government propaganda.
Well, what do you say to ice walls if they are attached to the mainland? A circular ice wall would be unstable due to lack of inflowing glacier ice, and it would rapidly thin and disintegrate.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, earlier he said that they're using freezing machines to sustain the ice wall.
Supercoolants.
How would they hide the supercoolants?
They take NASA. The scientists there are applying it from NASA.
And where are they getting the energy for the supercoolers? Wouldn't we see some, I don't know, some change in heat or atmosphere around the ice wall because of the super
The
changes?
ice wall's always been cold.
Well, let's say this, even if, the United States government with NASA and all their resources managed to hide, what would you say to the other nations who are in Antarctica? Wouldn't they?
They're also in on it.
They're all in on it?
They're all in
They're
on it.
all in
They're
on
all
it.
in on
Okay,
it.
but
That's what the UN is.
they're
The
all in on
UN
it.
is just the Ice Wall
But we
Federation.
still
But there's
have-
still some nations outside of the UN.
The Geneva Convention is like fake too. They're just all about the ice wall.
So you believe that they're all working together, and they're not going to war over this giant, perfect, land they have?
No,
Yeah,
because they
why?
can't.
They can't? Why not?
They can't. There's too much. It's like attacking a NATO country. There's too many tensions. If you attack someone, try to.
So it's just one giant Cold War?
It's just one giant Cold War.
Couldn't
yeah.
they just have-
Cold War because it's an ice wall? You see, it all adds up.
Couldn't just one anonymous whistleblower from one nation just trying to disguise this just release this to the
They
press or somehow?
probably have,
Yeah.
and they call them conspiracy theorists, and we're trying to make sure those whistleblowers get heard.
Explorers, since the dawn of time, they've been walking around the earth, man. What would you say to the explorers who have circumnavigated the landmass and the people who have visited it?
They're all in the
you
propaganda.
said it was your king, Sir James Clark Ross. He himself navigated it,
And he found that it was an ice wall.
but because he was on a boat, he was just a little guy. So of course it looked
Yeah.
massive. He had no idea what
Are
he
you
was looking
boatist?
at it. Huh?
You hate boats? Are you racist towards boats?
I like boats.
I'm just saying that-
You know, it's actually Boat History Month right now.
Look, James Clark isn't the only guy who visited the Antarctica. There's other naval explorers who visited and who've seen it and who believe it is a country, it's not an ice wall, that it's its own thing.
Yeah, there's James Clark Ross, who said it was an ice wall.
Yeah,
There is Leonhard Euler, who said it was the entrance to the hollow earth. Like, there's so many people who did it, and all of them come to the same conclusion. It's an ice wall.
But these are all, 18th century and 17th century guys. Like, these guys,
And
they had no idea that, we have satellites and stuff.
18th century guys wrote the Constitution, and we still follow it.
Yeah, but we make edits to it. There's amendments. There's courts that edit the amendments.
And we've
also-
edited the theory, but, at its core, it's still the ice wall.
I don't believe that.
But think about it. All you cited is two different people. There are thousands of others who believe the ice wall.
You haven't cited any, though.
Cited Eddie?
Howard,
Bishop.
Look at NASA, okay? If I Googled how much does NASA get funded each year, okay? If I look at how much does NASA get funded each year, NASA gets funded $21.51 billion each year, okay?
There's been a lot less space missions recently.
I'm just saying, but NASA houses all these people, all these scientists, all these, wonderful minds. How are you going to say that not a single one of them, for the cooperative research, haven't leaked or said anything about this ice wall?
They might have, and they're labeled as conspiracy theorists.
Are you sure you're not the conspiracy theorist?
Yes, I'm trying to make sure that the wonderful people leaking the government propaganda are heard.
So you're saying the ice wall doesn't exist?
The ice wall does exist. Everyone who's leaking that it's true is right, but they're getting drowned out by the government and called crazy. And we need to make sure their voices are heard.
So you just said the ice wall doesn't exist. You
The ice
said
wall
you're-
does exist. I said everyone who's saying that the ice wall does exist, who's leaking that it does
Okay.
from inside where the government's keeping that information, deserves to be heard. It's just that the government is trying to make sure we don't hear it.
Michael, but look, Felipe, every time you're saying your own opinions of people who long ago existed, while we have evidence, we have proof, and you just cite, when we say, it's unsustainable, you just say they're using magic machine guns that freeze the ice wall.
Because that's sustainable.
How so?
How do you sustain a garden?
You water it, and it
How do you
rains.
sustain ice?
Freeze it.
You freeze it.
Yeah, but convection currents are a natural way that the earth freezes and disputes heat and
Going
temperature
back
and
to
such.
your mention of the sun, let me Google how hot the sun is, because I don't believe, a freeze ray, I don't believe we could freeze the ice fast enough without seeing it melt. Or is that what global warming
And what about the
is?
radiation
Okay,
from
yeah.
the sun hurting the people on the ice wall and such?
Yeah. The people, it would be like
You guys do know that if the
Chernobyl
even if the ice wall wasn't real, the sun still exists and
So
it's
even
still
if
like
the ice wall
over
isn't
Antarctica, right? Like even if it wasn't real, the sun is still like shining over Antarctica, right?
But you said the sun inside of the Earth was taking power from the sun outside. So wouldn't the sun inside the Earth gradually get hotter and hotter until the Earth just burns?
No,
Yeah.
it's like they're in a perfect equilibrium to create like the perfect atmosphere within the Earth. That's like a greenhouse effect
So
that
it's like
breeds
an
the
Earth
perfect
inside
people.
of the Earth?
It's like yeah, it's like
How does this happen if
Earthception.
it's flat?
Earthception.
How does this happen if the Earth is flat?
So basically, there's a disc on top, right?
Okay.
And then past the ice wall, you
Okay.
it's like a bowl, like
Okay.
past the ice wall. There's an edge where everything falls out,
Okay.
and within that edge, it's like when you get sucked in by the gravitational pull of the second sun,
Okay.
and then you enter like the Narnia-like place.
Wait, but why isn't the Earth affected by the gravitational pull? It's only the holes that pull it in.
Because it's like it's in just enough above, like you know how the moon is far enough that it just stays in orbit.
No, it slowly gets further away.
It's slowly getting further, yeah. But
Yeah,
you know how the
but,
moon
like-
is like doesn't get pulled in, but it still gets attracted by the Earth's gravity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. We're just far enough from the second sun on the Earth, and we're just like hovering above it that we can stay in equilibrium.
How close is close enough? Because it's a sun inside of an Earth. There's only so much distance. The moon is thousands of miles away. The Earth, sun, is too close. I think. I believe.
I don't know.
I just think
Yeah.
you need to come to terms at the fact that, not only has NASA, the United States government space program, but other space programs across the world. The Soviets launched the first satellite. It's been confirmed.
Yeah, and
numerous-
what are they doing now? They're putting Katy
numerous
Perry in space
times-
for 11 minutes.
Numerous times by numerous people,
Look,
okay?
If the gravity didn't affect the Earth, the moon is still affected by the gravity. It's still moving away. If the Earth wasn't affected, it would either be growing or shrinking, but it's still staying the same.
Okay, but look at what the government's doing now with space, right? Every year, space gets more erased because as people think more, they need more ways to hide the ice wall. So now they're doing stuff like putting Katy Perry in space. What is Katy Perry doing in space for those 11 minutes?
Bro.
That's right, nothing.
Bro, no one's talking about Katy Perry in space. No one cares because we're doing our own thing, bro.
I think you just need to come to terms with the fact that an ice wall just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The logic is against it. There's even like the sun inside of the Earth that doesn't make sense. It would melt the Earth.
You're too far in denial that you're trying to do anything that you can to make it believable, that make it make sense to yourself.
But you guys haven't brought up any real valid points that rebut what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, because you just say,
Indisputed.
no, that doesn't work because this.
because that, yeah,
But do you
because
have-
there's stuff that
Look,
goes
do you
against
have any evidence of the machines that are keeping ice wall cold?
The government does propaganda to hide those machines.
Well, then how
What
do you know?
propaganda-
How
Words
have you
pro-
not seen the videos of all the cables in Antarctica? What do you think? What do you think those
For the,
long cables
for the
are doing
shelters, for the bases, on
the
Antarctica
shelters?
for studying and
Yeah,
research.
for studying
there? I don't know, but like it could be the machines. The shelter is just what they say to get people to believe it.
But would that be enough energy to keep hold the ice wall from the
Yeah, you
sun
don't- you
inside the Earth?
Yeah, because the sun inside the Earth doesn't really affect the ice wall itself.
Okay, guys, just to make sure that you're not dumb enough to believe this is all a conspiracy theory. This is not real. This is not our true opinions on any topic or matter. Make your own opinions on your own beliefs of the world. We're not here to guide you. We are here to provide entertainment for just entertainment
conspiracy
purposes.
theories.
That concludes this episode. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Chicken's Eye podcast, The Ice Wall. Remember, it's all a conspiracy theory. Or is it? Remember, always keep your third eye open.